Welcome to the Family First Retirement Podcast with George Politarhos. For more information, visit betrayawealth.com. Now, let's get to the show.
Want to know, why are people calling you, George? Why are people reaching out to the Betrayal Wealth Group?
Besides being end of year, and we all should be speaking to our financial advisors, getting a recap of how our year went, where our future is going to be, and how good or bad is tomorrow going to end up. A lot of people, customers and prospects, are calling because they have this thing called life, and they're looking at their dollar not doing what it used to do. And that's due to inflation. You know, there's a lot of interesting statistics that are out there, but this past weekend we were looking at some things, and it's Christmas time, right?
Right.
People are getting Christmas trees for their homes. Mm-hmm. The price of Christmas trees have gone up between 5 to 15% over prior year. A, they've gone up. B, there's a low supply, so they can't plant enough trees for the next 5 years. So that increase in cost due to inflation. 1 in 3 Americans have now said they are not giving gifts for Christmas and Hanukkah this year. 1 in 3. 1 in 3. 33% of the population is not going to pass on gifts to others. And that's fine. It's not about gifts, but we've made into gifts, right? It's about the traditions and the historical facts. How about 1 in 4 still have debt on their credit cards from last Christmas? People are not in a good place, Mark. Do you think so?
No, it doesn't sound like it.
And at the end of the year, we give money to our church and we give to charities that Leslie and I believe in and support. But 50% of the population is going to be less generous this year than they were last year. And the reason is inflation. So if you were given $1,000 last year to charities, you might give $500 this year. Still something, which is nice, but their costs have gone up. And the one that really just I find mind-boggling is right now $1.03 trillion in credit card debt by the American people. That's absurd. We're living past our means. We're not having a grasp on what our expenses are, what our income is, how we can correct it. And I still think it goes back to, and Leslie and I have always talked about this, especially with Jared and Alex. You are who you are. You should be proud of who you are. And so many people, I think, are trying to live like the Smiths and the Joneses. Mm-hmm. Mr. Jones got a new car. Why can't we get a new car type mentality? And we have to get grounded back into reality, into where we're at. The credit card debt, inflation are things that are going to eat away at our retirement, at our planning, and at our future. Inflation we can't do anything about. That's out of our hands. That's the Uncle Sam. The government handles that for us, right? Because of practices and the ways they work the economy. But credit card debt, we can handle. We can control that. Let's keep it in our hands, Mark. Let's look at what we're doing, and that starts with getting a plan in place. I know I say that every week, that important it is to have a focus, to have something that you look at and you have to be responsible for. And when you come into our office here at 501 Silverside Road, Suite 31 in Wilmington, and we sit down and we're going to have a cup of coffee, we're going to start the planning process to make sure we understand what your income looks like for this year, especially next year. Let's plan for next year. What your expenses are. And we're going to calculate inflation in there. We're going to go over taxes with you. We're going to go over Social Security. And the bigger concern we have as Americans, aging America, is the cost of medical. Let's say, what do you think inflation is right now, Mark? Pick a number.
Where do we at? Like 3.5?
3.5. Let's call it 3.5, okay, just for argumental sakes. And I really think it's much higher than 3.5 because they don't put gas into that and electricity and power. But let's say 3.5. Medical, Medicare, and our expenses for health insurance rise at 3 times the rate of inflation.
Shoot.
Think about that. I'm a 65-year-old getting ready to retire. I'm on Medicare, and now my cost of insurance is going to go up instead of 3.5% due to inflation, 10 to 11%. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a big thing you need to plan for. And it's not just like throwing the darts against the wall and thinking, do I hit this the bullseye and I'm okay this month, or am I hitting it the bad spot? Mm-hmm. We put it down in writing, and we have husbands and wives come in all the time, which is what we want. We want everyone to come in, obviously, but when we work with couples, because most of us retire as a team, you're now responsible not to your wife or not to your husband, to a third party. Because I'm going to call you on it when you don't sit there and you say, yeah, we're going to cut credit card expenses. Oh, yeah. And you don't do it. We're going to have that conversation Not because my job is to be mean, but my job is to make sure that you are able to go forward and have the life that you want in retirement. And if it means we got to make some changes today to get to a better place tomorrow, I'm going to put you to it. So give us a call, 302-330-2166, and let's schedule that time to come in and sit down. Enough of saying we'll do it tomorrow. We'll do it next week. We'll do it in a couple months. That time is going away quickly. And before you know it, you're at the retirement and you haven't done anything to properly plan for it. So let's sit there and get planned for this and get you in the right place.
Again, that number is 302-330-2166. And you're going to sit down with George Politarhos. You're going to meet Achilles. You're going to meet Jared. That's the team from the Portrayal Wealth Group. He's not going to push you off to a sub-advisor that only comes in twice a week and works on another office. You're going to meet the entire team from the Portrayal Wealth Group in that initial consultation. 302-330-2166. That initial meeting, it's no cost. It's no obligation. George, you mentioned it a couple of seconds ago. You said 1 in 3 will be affected by how they purchase presents for the holidays, for Christmas. What happens if somebody calls you and says, hey, because of this inflation, I'm going to dip into some of my retirement savings? How do you respond to that?
Credit card debt is a temporary situation, Mark. Your retirement plan is for the future. We're going to sit down and look at it, but there's plus and minus to everything we do. I don't think it's necessarily right to take my future away to have today's satisfaction. And I work with customers, and there's a couple that came to me, and they were federal employees. And federal employees have something called a TSP, a thrift savings plan, which is their 401k or their 403b or 457, their retirement plan. And they had taken I'm using air quotations here, a hardship loan out of that for $2,000. And I said, John, what was this for, bud? What'd you do here? Because it shuts you off from contributing to your retirement. He says, we had to go on vacation. And I was like, you have to be the biggest idiot I've ever met. You took out this and stopped contributing because you had to go on vacation?
Right.
You wanted to. You thought you deserved it. And we do deserve time away, but it's making the right decisions. When I have customers who want to make those rash decisions, we have a hard conversation to have. Because sometimes it makes sense. Most of the time, though, Mark, it doesn't. Because you're going to live 25, 30 years in retirement, and you want to get that instant satisfaction against planning for tomorrow. I'm the voice of reason, Mark, that tells you, stop it, take a breath, and let's recalculate. So it happens, but they don't usually like my answer.
Do you still find that running out of money is the biggest fear for retirees?
Absolutely.
How do you take that emotion out of people coming to you with that fear? Like, that's part of your job, George. I mean, it's part of your job when we sit down with you in that initial consultation is almost to take the emotions out of retirement planning, because we come to you. We're worried about our income. We're worried about retirement. We're worried about our spouses and our family. So how do you take that fear out of retirement planning?
I think a lot of times fear is from not having the correct information, Mark. Hearing that they're the water cooler talk again, that, well, if I don't have $5 million or $2 million, I can't live. It goes back to getting an education. We're going to sit down, because I always tell people I have good news for you and I have bad news. The good news is you're living longer. Congratulations. The bad news is you're living longer. Congratulations. How are we going to make that mix in between? How are we going to make it fit? And how are we going to go forward? Once we sit down, and we just said earlier about how important it is to have a retirement plan, have something in writing. And I am not talking about having an Excel spreadsheet. That's nice. That's pretty. It doesn't do what we need to do. When we sit down and do a financial analysis report for you, it's made up of a bunch of different reports in there. One is an income plan. So today you're making X. You have Social Security, which will be coming in. You have a pension, perhaps. So that's our income part. Our assets in there is your 401k, your TSP, your 403b, your CDs, your IRAs, your savings, anything earmarked for retirement. Your home, right? Your vacation homes maybe are in that number. Then we're going to go over taxes. Folks, we always talk about if you don't plan for taxes, and if your advisor's not helping you look at taxes, he's doing you or she is doing you a misjustice. We can't control taxes. I think the government we can control, but we need to plan. And when you work with me, I plan worst case scenarios. I look at the world going, a heck in a handbag. That's why you come in, you're going to meet with Ernie Calais, our CPA, who's going to go over those factions with you to make sure we plan properly and that we're proactive in that category. We're going to go over expenses And that is the biggest culprit of people's fears in retirement. You know, we're going to count and calculate for Medicare, medical costs, how expensive it's going to be for a couple. It's 90% of our concerns are about health care. Because as we get older, as we live longer, we're less healthy. We need to plan accordingly. Mm-hmm. We're going to take in buying a new car every 5 years, going on a trip every year, visiting the children across the country, and maybe leaving a legacy behind for our children and grandchildren. But that goes in the plan. And then obviously we attack Social Security. And I even take that a step further because I'm planning on 2034 having a reduction of Social Security by up to 24% for our customers. And we're planning for the reduction if it occurs. If it doesn't occur, great, we're in a better place. But if it does happen, Mark, which I think it's going to, I'm okay. And I need you to be okay. Because once you're informed, once you see a vision, the fear comes away. You're still concerned. We're always concerned. I'm concerned every day about everything. It's just human nature, I think. But there's things that you can control and things you can't control. And this we can control. We can look at this, plan for this, and put you, your husband, your wife, your family at ease. Because, you know, Mark, when I wrote my book about taking care of your family, and the first chapter about my mom and dad, no one ever spoke to them about that. No one ever gave them information or enlightened them at all about that. And that's their fault. My parents let the ball drop. Not that they were bad people. They made mistakes and they didn't want to up to their mistakes. But not everyone has 5 children and are willing to come in and take care of your mom when dad's gone so she's safe. And when you come here, that's why you've heard me say this, Patraea in Greek means family, because I think about couples and I think about Angelo and Betty Politarhos and how I don't want another couple to be like them. Mm-hmm. So that's why you really need to have enlightenment, education, and be able to make informed, rash decisions and get rid of that fear and put you and your family at ease.
Investment advisory services are offered only through properly registered representatives of Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, which is not affiliated with Patraea Wealth Group. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if George Politarhos is licensed in your state, please contact his office. George A. Politarhos is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Please consult with your attorney, accountant, and or tax advisor for advice concerning your particular circumstances. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities, offered through George A. Politarhos, NPN number 175000473.